However, Michael refused to consider any of them. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't have anything to share. I won't deny the facts. Andrea worked alongside me and even contributed part of her salary to keep us afloat when we first took over the family business, he insisted. Andrea was shocked when her lawyer explained how Michael was planning to give her half of his ownership in the business. A few years earlier, during a cash flow crisis, the company had been purchased by Michael's best friend, Tom, who became a silent partner, owning a third of the company while giving half of his share to Andrea. This left Michael in a vulnerable position. He owned and controlled only a third of the business. "Tell Michael this is too much," Andrea insisted to her lawyer. "He's the one who dedicated all his time and energy to the business. If he insists on giving me a share, tell him I agree to only a tenth of what we own. He can maintain control without any potential disputes." Michael was nothing if not stubborn. When the snow melted the following spring, Andrea became a single woman again and a third owner of Jensen Enterprises. She couldn't even convince Michael to talk to her on the phone. He had completely cut her out of his life. Lila informed Andrea that she wanted to spend the summer between her junior and senior years of high school at the lake house with her father. Andrea recognized this as another attempt by Lila to punish her, but she accepted that she had earned her daughter's disdain. Michael, for his part, was thrilled. He began planning to nearly double the size of the cabin since he owned a construction company. By the end of July, he had completed the renovations, transforming it into a 3-bedroom lake house, each room with its own bathroom and a lovely view of the lake. It was now a completely modernized and comfortable space. During the first weekend of August, Michael hosted an open house for his friends and neighbors at the lake. All of Lila's friends were invited, and one of them brought along an older cousin who caught Michael's attention. She had striking blonde hair and wore a modest 2-piece swimsuit that complemented her figure beautifully. Throughout the day, Michael noticed that this girl was often near him, laughing at his jokes and flirting with him whenever she got the chance. "Well, Dad, are you trying to get into a little bikini party?" Lila teased one day when they were alone in the kitchen. "Of course not," Michael protested. "She can't be older than 25, and I haven't decided to start dating yet." "She's 27 and seems very interested in you," Lila replied with a knowing smile. "She's been asking how long you've been single, how old you are, and what you do for a living." "Everything women want to know about potential husbands," Michael remarked dryly. "I just met her today, so don't even think about mentioning the word marriage to me," he added, shaking his head. "I tried that once, and it was more than enough. I'm not hinting at anything like that. She seems interested, though. I wouldn't mind if you dated her. She's really sweet, and you need someone to help you forget your mom," Lila suggested, her tone lighter. "From what I've seen, Tina isn't in a hurry to get married. I think she's focused on her career right now," Michael replied. "But that doesn't mean she isn't open to the idea of a little romance." "Thanks for enlightening me," Michael joked with his daughter. "This girl is too attractive to be interested in an old guy like me. But I appreciate your trust in me." Andrea's company occupied the top 2 floors of an office building in the business district. At the end of the block was a popular Italian bistro. Every Thursday, she would have lunch there with a few of her colleagues, maintaining an informal schedule. It was common for them to see familiar faces dining at the same time each week. One afternoon, the bistro was unusually packed, and Andrea's group couldn't find a table. An employee from Benson Advertising, located on the 2nd floor of their building, invited them to join at a large table. They quickly accepted the offer. After exchanging names, the conversation flowed easily. One of the women on the advertising team was especially attractive and very friendly, and Andrea found herself enjoying the young woman's infectious humor. She smiled as the other ladies began to tease her. "Not all of us have a rich guy with a big house on Lake Henry," one of the women named Laura joked. "It must be nice to wake up with the morning sun reflecting off the lake," another chimed in. "Yes," the young woman agreed, "especially with a handsome guy who gently caresses me. Getting out of bed can be such a hassle." If that's the guy who picked you up after work on Thursday, I can see why getting up might be a problem, another woman teased. He looks a little older than you, but he seems to be in good shape. Michael is all that and more, the young woman offered, beaming. He's a really good guy and a fantastic lover. Andrea's friend immediately posed the question Andrea dreaded. You're not talking about Michael Jensen, are you? Do you know him? The attractive young woman replied, smiling. You have to admit he looks good. Heck, he's a great guy, but he used to be Andrea's husband, her colleague said. I think we should change the subject, Andrea interjected, leaning toward the young woman and extending her hand. I'm Andrea Jensen. I didn't catch your name. Tina McCarthy, she replied. His ex-wife was beautiful, but I thought he was probably blinded by love. It turns out he didn't do justice to himself. I hope you won't be upset that I'm living with Michael now. I certainly can't blame you, or him, for that matter, Andrea answered honestly. You're a beautiful young woman with an amazing figure. I can understand why Michael would be drawn to you. I wonder why KC never mentioned anything about you. I can't speak for KC, but I just want to say that you raised your daughter well. She's very smart, attentive, and just as beautiful as her mother. I really enjoy it when she visits us, Tina concluded as the evening wore on. That night, Andrea questioned KC during dinner. Why didn't you tell me that your father has a beautiful girlfriend who's living with him? That's something I'd want to know. Honestly, Mom, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I know how you feel about that, KC replied. I'm still upset that you cheated on him, but I didn't want to make you unhappy because of your poor choices. Tina is actually good for Dad. He finally seems happy again, KC continued. This might surprise you, but I'm glad to hear that Michael is happy. He's a wonderful person who deserves to be with someone who loves him, even if it's not me. I don't think she loves Dad directly, but she really likes him. She made it clear that her career is her priority for the next few years. She wants to achieve great success in marketing. Aren't you going to start dating, Mom? You keep in touch with your boyfriend from the conferences. Do you think you can get along with him? KC asked, referring to Ryan. Ryan is not the type of person I'd look for in a relationship, Andrea admitted. He's superficial, slightly rude, selfish, and vain. I never considered it anything more than entertainment. He turned my life into hell, even though I knew what I was doing. I shouldn't blame him for my weakness. Are you interested in anyone else? KC pressed. You're still beautiful. I've noticed how some of the dads and teachers look at you and go out of their way to be polite during school events. Honestly, I think Michael ruined me for other men, Andrea replied with a sad smile. The reason for our divorce is common knowledge in the area. It makes women sympathize with your father, and men see me as an easy target. It was probably easy for Ryan, but I won't make that mistake again. I just don't understand how you could cheat on your father if you love him so much, KC said, clearly surprised. He always treated you with love and respect. Something was off with Michael, Andrea admitted. I've asked myself that question. I think I started to take your father for granted. I knew he loved me, and I became overly confident in that love. This somehow led me to try another man, maybe because I felt I had a reliable anchor at home. Michael was my rock. He was always there for me. I foolishly believed he would always be there, that I could stray a little and he'd never find out. Yet, my devoted husband would still be home waiting for me. I pray you find a man like your father, someone ready to start a family, and use my experience as a cautionary tale. Never take more than you give in a relationship. Be faithful, dedicated, and honest. If something is bothering you, discuss it with your husband, Andrea reflected. I've shown you what happens when you lie and cheat. Occasionally, Andrea would run into Tina during lunch, and she was often surprised by how much she liked this woman. It embarrassed her to admit that she anxiously awaited any news about Michael. Lila, however, was reluctant to share too much about her father's life with Andrea. She couldn't divulge some of the more personal aspects of Michael's life. In contrast, Tina willingly discussed Michael with her friends. Andrea, it's obvious that you still love Michael. Tina remarked one day while they were having lunch together. "He never speaks ill of you, but it's clear that you've hurt him deeply. I'm not here to judge you, but I have to say that I would never cheat if I were in a relationship. I find it hard to believe that you did," Tina continued. "Everything I see and hear from you indicates that you love and respect him. Just remember this when the flame of passion fades and you get caught up in everyday life." "I lost my way and paid for it," Andrea admitted. "Love isn't always about wild sex and extravagant vacations. Sometimes it's deciding when to pump the septic tank or what color to paint the house. Everything becomes mundane, but that's normal. Michael is an honest businessman, a caring friend, and a wonderful father. I will always love him, but I betrayed him in the worst way a wife can. I've learned my lesson. Perhaps I woke up too late," Tina said. "I told Michael last night that I accepted a position in Seattle and will be leaving in 2 weeks. This is a fantastic opportunity for me. I told him from the start that my career comes first, but I can see that my news upset him. I'm sharing this with you so you understand what he's going through and maybe can help him if he feels down. He's truly a great guy. He just isn't my forever boyfriend. I'm sure he will miss you very much," Tina continued. "Michael doesn't act on a whim. If he invited you to live with him, it means he holds you in high regard, not just for your looks. At the same time, he is an astute businessman. I tested his limits, but he came through. He's really grown," Andrea said with a small smile. "He'll miss you, but he's a great catch, and I doubt his bed will be empty for long." "Exactly why I'm sharing this information with you first," Tina replied, returning the smile. "What you do with it is entirely up to you." Just a week later, Michael's best friend and silent partner, Tom, asked Andrea to meet him for lunch at the bistro. The place was bustling, but they found a small table off to the side. After the usual greetings and pleasantries, Tom explained the purpose of his request. "You know that piece of land Michael bought on Route 21 near the river?" "I do," Andrea replied, wondering how she was involved in this discussion. "Well, I have a buyer willing to pay nearly $2 million for it. Michael bought it for next to nothing, so the profit would be enormous. Your third would be over $500,000, Tom informed her. "Michael said the land could be held onto, and someday it will be worth much more." "Is he going to sell it?" Andrea asked, intrigued. "That's the issue," Tom said. "He thinks the company will benefit more if they lease it long-term. He wants the contract to state that his company will build whatever the tenant needs for their business." "That sounds just like Michael," Andrea admitted with a smile, thinking about how astute he was with business. "I'm sure he's crunched the numbers and found that plan to be more profitable in the long run. What's the problem? I think we should capitalize quickly by selling the land. Planning 10 to 15 years ahead is great, but I'd like to see the money now. You want a third of the company? I want a third too. Together, we could insist that Michael take the offer and then pay out their share of the profits. Michael won't get hurt. Heck, he'll walk away with $500,000 in cash, which should soothe any ruffled feathers," Tom proposed. Andrea felt her anger rising as she sat across from him. "Are you asking me to betray Michael's trust? You think money means more to me than Michael's feelings? Let me tell you something. Michael would view this as a complete and utter betrayal from his wife and best friend. This would be the worst thing you could do to him. Worse than his wife sleeping with some young guy at a conference. You're his ex-wife for a reason. You've already betrayed him. He divorced you for cheating. This is a chance to get a little revenge while making a good chunk of money," Tom reasoned. "We both know that description doesn't suit you." "I betrayed Michael, and I acknowledge that," Andrea replied, suppressing her rage. "I was foolish and selfish, but I never wanted to hurt him. He deserves better business partners than you, and I will ever be. That's why I will never betray him again. I'd rather lose every last penny than hurt Michael like that. I've proven that I was a lousy wife, but you're just proving that you're a bad friend and partner. Michael will control my share of the company for as long as I breathe. In fact, I'll make it a rule to ensure Michael gets my share after I die." You should know better than to underestimate his business skills, Andrea began, her anger bubbling up as she stood, placing money on the table to cover their lunch. But then she looked into Tom's eyes and added, "Please don't try to steal this from him." Almost a month later, Andrea opened the door to find Michael standing on her porch, and she was taken aback. He had been avoiding her ever since she returned from that disastrous conference. "Michael, come in. Everything's fine. Lila left a few minutes ago if you're looking for her," Andrea said, surprised at how excited she felt about Michael's unexpected visit. "I'm here to talk, if you have a moment," Michael began as he stepped into the home that had been his for over 15 years. "If you're busy, I can come back another time." "I'm not busy," Andrea answered quickly. "I just made coffee. Why don't we sit in the kitchen?" "I appreciate you letting me in so soon," Michael said, picking up a coffee mug. "You always made excellent coffee when we first got married. I didn't even know how to brew it back then." "It took me a while to figure it out," Andrea said with a grin. "I didn't marry you for your coffee-making skills. You had other qualities that I found much more attractive," Michael countered, a teasing glint in his eye. "I've never heard you refer to them as qualities," Andrea laughed. "I recall you calling them Smith & Wesson a few times." "Yeah, you brought out the big guns, and I was powerless to resist," Michael admitted with a smile. "Tina must have you wrapped around her finger, or some other part of her body." "There's definitely some serious heat coming from her," Andrea replied. "I appreciate how well you treat Tina. She thinks you're a wonderful person. Her opinion of you was one of the reasons I'm here. A couple of weeks ago, one of her friends overheard your conversation with Tom during lunch. Tina mentioned it before heading to the West Coast. She believes your dedication and honesty have been exceptional. I have to agree, after the way I treated you during the divorce, you still flatly rejected Tom's advances. Many women whose husbands have divorced so quickly would seek revenge, or at the very least, some kind of payback. I would never do that to you, Michael. I know how hard you work on your projects and how much they mean to you. I also know you'll make sure that this land brings in significantly more income than Tom is anticipating," Andrea replied. "He's a fool when it comes to you," she concluded. "I appreciate your confidence in me. Tina helped me come to terms with the fact that you were my partner, even though I managed the business as if it were entirely mine. I need to give you the chance to express your opinions and say what you want to do," Michael said. "If you want to sell this property and split the profits, I can agree to that." "Tom is trying to convince me to sell it," Michael admitted. "I think he doesn't have the funds. He believes that if we sell this land, each of us can walk away with $500,000 from the business without it affecting him." "Would you like that too?" Andrea asked, intrigued. "I think you probably have a plan for this property that would yield good profits for the company and goodwill from the community," Andrea replied with obvious pride. "You've never been one to chase a quick profit. You've always aimed to improve the area while making a solid income. You have something in mind for this land, right?" "I've been negotiating a long-term lease with General Hospital to build an emergency care complex on that site," Michael revealed. "It won't be as lucrative as the luxury condominium project that Tom's company is pushing for, but it will still generate a decent profit, and we'll have a contract for the build. This will create jobs and foster goodwill in the community." "I figured it would be something like that," Andrea said, feeling a touch smug. "You're a good businessman, but you also invest in society. That sets you apart from people like Tom. He thinks it's better to chase quick profits. I don't agree with that mindset. As far as I understand, he approached you with his proposal, and you turned him down. I trust you unconditionally, Michael. You've never given me a reason not to trust you. I'll support your business decisions until the end," Andrea promised. "It probably sounds strange since you know you can't trust me, but it's true. I've been thinking about how Tom is trying to interfere with your business. It occurred to me that we should buy him out. If he doesn't have the funds, he'll probably listen to a reasonable offer. You'd be happy, and you could run your business as you see fit." Andrea laid out her thoughts. "I considered it, but I just don't have the funds to make it happen." Michael nodded in agreement. "We could always sell this house," Andrea proposed. "I could find a nice 2-bedroom apartment for Lila and me. Over the years, we've built up quite a bit of equity. The mortgage is nearly paid off, and you've made some significant improvements. That should be enough for us to get our lives back on track. Now that we're divorced, this is your home. Are you really ready to sell it and invest in the business?" Michael asked incredulously. "I can't say when I'll finalize the deal on the urgent care center. I can't promise you'll see your money back anytime soon, if at all." "Do I look worried?" Andrea teased. "Remember, I was married to you for 20 years. You'll get everything back plus interest. If for some reason this doesn't pan out, that's fine. I owe you one, Michael. Money won't ever make up for my disrespect, but it could get you away from Tom. I'll agree to this. If you come and live with me and Lila at the house by the lake." Michael quickly added, "You'll have your own room with a bathroom." It turned out really nice. "I don't think that will work," Andrea replied, her voice tinged with sadness. "This is about my personal life, not to mention dating and all the drama that would cause for you. Sorry, I didn't consider your social life." Michael apologized. "Of course you wouldn't want to bring a guy into the house while your ex-husband is living there. Especially that guy, Ryan. It would be so awkward. I don't date, and I have no plans to start," Andrea shot back. "I stopped going to conferences and haven't spoken to Ryan since that disastrous trip. If I'm around, it'll be nearly impossible for you to find someone who's willing to stay over when your ex is sleeping in the next room. Honestly, with me around, the chances of any woman moving in with you are slim. Though I can't completely rule it out. I've seen women fall for you. I divorced you because you slept with that guy. Then I moved Tina in with me. My behavior wasn't exactly a great example for Lila, was it?" Michael posed rhetorically. "I was just depressed and lonely. Another man took my wife, and my self-esteem was shot. Tina was there to pick up the pieces for me. I'm sorry I hurt your self-esteem. I wish none of this had happened. But I don't blame you for falling for Tina. She's a wonderful woman. You're a single man and free to pursue whatever relationship you want," Andrea said. "I don't think I've ever properly apologized for my actions. None of this was your fault. It's all on my conscience. I truly messed up, and I genuinely regret the pain I caused you. You really hurt me, Andrea. I've never cheated. I lived for you and Lila. I went from having everything to feeling like a complete failure," Michael confessed. "Tina helped me see that even if I wasn't the perfect husband, I wasn't the reason for your infidelity. You could have told me you were unhappy with our marriage or our sex life. I would have done my best to improve things if I had known. I was just being stupid. I wasn't unhappy. You were a great husband, an amazing father to Lila, and a wonderful lover," Andrea admitted. "I lost my way and deserve to be unhappy. It might sound strange, but being unhappy somehow makes me feel like I'm paying for my sins. Maybe you could at least come check out the house by the lake," Michael suggested, hoping to steer the conversation in a different direction. "I'd like to get your thoughts. I incorporated some of the ideas we've discussed over the years into the renovations. I think you'll approve. Lila has a volleyball match in a couple of hours. Can we fit this in? Could we do it another time?" Andrea asked. "Let's look at it before the match. We can go together. Are you worried people might think we're getting back together if we go as a couple?" she pointed out, noting how he typically sat as far away from her as possible. "Yeah, I was a bit of an ass about it," Michael admitted. "But to be fair, you left me and our marriage. You couldn't expect me to be friendly. Actually, you were much kinder to me than I would have been if the roles were reversed," Andrea conceded. "Your settlement offer was too generous. We both know that kindness seems to be paying off," Michael grumbled. "We're thinking about selling the house to invest in a dance studio," she revealed. "I still find it hard to believe you're willing to do this. Honestly, Andrea, take anything of mine that you want. You've always been honest with me. I trust you won't hurt me, even though I deserve it," she said. "Let me show you the lake house," Michael proposed, hoping to calm his swirling emotions. As he guided her through the house, Andrea admired the renovations. "You really did an incredible job. Lila's room is huge and comes with its own bathroom. What a dream for any teenage girl, she remarked. When Michael showed her the second bedroom, she realized it was time to address the unspoken tension. It's a lovely room with another fantastic bathroom, but I can't stay here, Michael. It would be too painful to see you every day and be reminded of what I've lost. We'll sell the house, and I'll rent an apartment. I'll be fine. We need to head out soon for Lila's match. Just let me show you the master bedroom, Michael insisted. It's bigger than the others. I know you'll love it. It's beautiful. You did an amazing job as always, Andrea praised as she took in the surroundings. It's clear why your business is so successful. You have a real eye for detail. Would you stay with me and Lila if you had this room? Michael asked pointedly. I'd still be seeing you every day, and I don't think I could handle that, she responded, sadness creeping into her tone. I didn't mean it would be just yours. I thought we could share it, Michael explained, a bit flustered. Andrea raised her eyebrows, examining Michael's face. Are you asking me to share your bed? Ever since I discovered your betrayal and left home, I've felt terrible. I miss you so much it sometimes hurts. You really messed up. I slept with Tina for months to try to ease that betrayal, but it never worked. I wonder if we can get past all this and attempt to be together again. I don't want to be a fallback, Andrea replied firmly. If you want to punish me further, then I won't do it. If I move in with you, I will be completely faithful and expect the same from you. No more young beauties in your bed. It'll just be me there, or I'll leave immediately. I've fought hard to regain my self-respect, and I intend to keep it. I love you, Michael, but you need to be fully on board, or I'm out. Lila was more surprised than anyone when she saw her parents walk into the gym, arms linked. She rushed over to speak with them discreetly. Mom, Dad, does this mean? Lila started, but Michael smiled and nodded before she could finish her question. Lila embraced her mother, holding her tight as she whispered into her ear, Welcome home, Mom. I love you, but don't ever cheat on Dad again. I have a friend with a single aunt who's even more beautiful than Tina.